There is a sufficient factual basis. The court, in addition, finds that Ms. Hildebrandt's pleas are made knowingly and voluntarily. The court therefore accepts and enters those pleas, dismisses the remaining 2 counts.
So, as many of you already know, Jodi Hildebrandt pleaded guilty to 4 counts. The thing that I find most interesting isn't the fact that she necessarily pleaded guilty. I think a lot of us had already anticipated this one. It was what her attorney was saying after, and I will play bits of that in a minute. What he was basically saying is that, Jodi wanted to plead guilty before Ruby did for a plea bargain. She wanted to plead guilty. And he also said that, she wanted to do it for the children. She didn't want the children to testify. She, is kind of acting as the Lord and Savior, if you will. Which I mean, I've just got so many things to say, but I think that what the attorney was saying, it was very interpreted by me. It was very much just sort of, well, because Ruby was going to testify against her, Jodi basically just, as a little stab, the attorney was just kind of like, well, Jodi was going to plead guilty anyway, kind of putting her in the better light.
Her guilty pleas, she decided to plead guilty before Ms. Franke entered into her plea agreement.
Now, what Jodi was pleading guilty to is very much in line with what Ruby was pleading guilty to as well, but there was one added thing which really does disturb me. She either coerced a child to jump or, smash into a cactus or pushed them. That's not really made quite clear, but that is the only real difference that I could see. So now both of them are pleaded guilty, and I believe that their sentencing is going to be the 20th of February, although that can always change, how these things go. Overall, I think that ultimately the best thing for the kids is both of them pleading guilty. Obviously, it means that they don't have to testify. It means that they don't have to be this great big thing drawn out. No one wants to do that, and I think that is probably one of the reasons why they were offered a plea deal anyway. But this is coming from someone who doesn't have the greatest law knowledge, so I could be wrong, but that is just my interpretation. Now, straight after she pleaded guilty, the attorney came outside and said a few things which I thought were highly interesting. I definitely think that there were, some little attacks at Ruby there, in the sense that, well, Jodi was going to plead guilty and all of this, kind of making her out to be this savior in this situation. And bearing in mind, we now all know exactly, not exactly, but we know some of the things they were pleading guilty to doing to the children. We're now aware of it. No one looks good in this situation. Doesn't matter if they were allegedly going to plead guilty before the other one. No one looks good in this situation. I get that it is just an attorney doing their job. I do understand that. But this is just quite remarkable.
I haven't had much to say about this case prior to today because I didn't feel it was appropriate to do so until today. Ms. Hildebrandt, my client, has pled guilty today to 4 counts. She has done so because she takes responsibility for her conduct in this matter.
I mean, given the overwhelmingly large amount of evidence, what else could she have done? What else could either of them have done? Obviously, pled not guilty and then put the poor children through all of that, reliving it once again. But well and truly, what else were you going to do?
Her guilty pleas, she decided to plead guilty before Ms. Franke entered into her plea agreement or agreed to cooperate with the state. She has pled guilty because she did not want these children to have to testify. She takes responsibility. And it is her main concern at this point that these children can heal, both physically and emotionally.
So is he saying that Ruby was in no way even wanting to be cooperative with anyone? She wasn't even thinking about the idea of pleading guilty. Is that what he's trying to say? This whole thing about, she's just wanting to let the children heal emotionally. Yeah, because of what they've done, because of what she's done, because of what Ruby's done. I know that there's literally nothing that they can say that will make this any better. I don't even know why she's even trying to bother, like there's any other avenue that she could have taken. That Jodi is trying to throw some little jabs at Ruby there.
We look forward to sentencing. That's all I have to say today.
There are people all over the world that are coming out and saying that Jodi Hildebrandt has destroyed families, that she has hurt a lot of people. Has she seen this kind of the backlash that's happening, and what does she have to say about it?
I'm not going to have any more comment, nor is she, at least prior to sentencing. Thank you.
Because what is quite interesting is that the Washington County attorney came out next and basically explained that there is a 30-day window after sentencing where after the 30 days after sentencing, they can divulge more information.
Be more comfortable speaking about specifics in the cases after sentencing, and then we wait for the 30 days to make sure that appellate time is run. And that's just us being super careful to make sure that procedurally we're not doing anything that could complicate a case down the road and overturn a conviction. So I'm not going to get into thought processes at this point.
Because Jodi Hildebrandt's attorney had said that Jodi had pleaded guilty before Ruby ever did. And a news reporter actually asked him, and he sort of stumbled his way through that question because apparently they don't deal with both the people at the same time, which I did find confusing, but then again, I'm not a law expert.
The defense attorney said that Hildebrandt chose to plead guilty before Ruby Franke made the decision to plead guilty. Is your office aware of the timeline there in which plea happened first? Which agreement happened first?
No, in that we weren't talking to both Hildebrandt and Franke, right? It was clear to us we knew that Franke was going to plead earlier than Hildebrandt. Thus, like Franke's the deal that Franke pled to included her agreeing to testify against Ms. Hildebrandt, and also that we would not submit things to the parole board asking that she stay in prison for a longer term.
I kind of feel like the question wasn't really answered, but to be honest, what I think is because Ruby was going to testify against Jodi, Jodi's attorney, basically to try and paint Jodi in a better light, was just saying, you know, well, Jodi pleaded guilty. Jodi was going to plead guilty before, like she may have thought it. Her court appearance was after Ruby. So really, will we ever know? Maybe we'll find out later down the line. But I just think it's exactly that. I think Jodi is just trying to regain a little glimmer of humanity, and it's just never going to wash. I just hate the fact that she's blatantly just coming on and trying to act like the savior in this, to try and let the children heal and all of that. And I just think it's such bollocks. I think it's such utter bollocks considering what the children have been put through, for her to now suddenly care about the children's welfare and that she was going to, you know, plead guilty before Ruby did. Neither of them look good in this situation. Both of them deserve a lot of prison time, in my own humble opinion. We'll find out more about that on the 20th or near around it. You know how these things go. I'm hoping that this will be the last we're going to hear from them, until February, until that time. I hope you guys have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. If you're watching this today, then happy New Year's Eve. Have a wonderful day wherever you are in this world. Take care of each other, take care of yourselves, and I'll catch up with you guys in the next video.
Say second-degree felony.
Guilty.